Good evening, dear viewers of Rock TV, wherever you're watching us from. I am Remedy KD, and thank you for joining us in this edition of the Rock News. Today we begin right from the Far North region, where more than 5,500 farmers in Cameroon's Far North region have returned to their fields under the Lake Chad Stabilization Program in a move aimed at restoring livelihoods and reviving agriculture in communities affected by the years of insecurities. The following report tells us more.
More than 5,500 farmers in Cameroon's Far North region have resumed agricultural activities following support from the Lake Chad Stabilization Program aimed at rebuilding livelihoods affected by years of insecurity. The initiative, supported by regional and international partners, focus on restoring farming activities and improving economic stability in communities around the Lake Chad Basin. The development was announced on March 10, 2026, highlighting ongoing recovery efforts in the region. The program targets communities in Cameroon's Far North region near Lake Chad, an area that has been heavily affected by insecurity linked to insurgent activities over the past decade. Officials say the project was implemented to help displaced farmers return to their land, boost food production, and revive local economies that were disrupted by the conflict.
In another news, the government of Cameroon has launched preparations for the 4th General Population and Housing Census with nationwide enumeration scheduled from April 24 to May 29, 2026. This was signed in a decree on March 6 by the Prime Minister Joseph John Gote to update the country's demographic and socio-economic data. Over to FG Cynthia for the details.
The government of Cameroon has officially launched preparation for the 4th General Population and Housing Census, marking a significant step in updating the country's demographic data. By a decree signed on March 6, 2026, the Prime Minister set the table for the nationwide enumeration exercise. The operation will combine the 4th General Population and Housing Census with a core model for the General Agricultural and Livestock Census. According to the decree, census data collection will take place across the national territory from April 24 to May 29, 2026. During this period, census enumeration will travel to cities, towns, and villages to gather key information related to population size, housing conditions, and agricultural and livestock activities. The decree further stipulates that the document will be officially registered, published, and inserted in the official Gazette in both English and French. The upcoming census continues Cameroon's statistical tradition of population counts conducted over the decades. The first census, carried out in 1976, estimated the country's population at slightly over 7.6 million inhabitants. The second census in 1987 recorded a population of more than 10 million, while the third, conducted in 2005, placed the figure at 17 million. More than 20 years after the last official count, the 4th census is expected to provide updated demographic data essential for national planning and development policies. Authorities say the exercise will play a key role in shaping public policy and improving resource allocation across the country.
In politics, the first ordinary session of the Senate for the 2026 legislative year opened on Tuesday, March 10, 2026 in Yaoundé under the chairmanship of the elder Senator René Zengoulé. The president of the Senate, Marcel Nyadjifendi, was present alongside other members of the upper house, marking the start of parliamentary activities for the year in Cameroon. Details with FG Cynthia.
The first ordinary session of the Senate for the 2026 legislative year officially opened on Tuesday, March 10, 2026 in Yaoundé. The ceremony was chaired by the eldest member of the Senate in accordance with parliamentary tradition. The president of the Senate, Marcel Nyadjifendi, was also present at the opening sitting alongside other senators and administrative authorities of the upper house of parliament. His presence marked the start of the Senate legislative activities for the new year. The session brought together members of the Senate to formally launch deliberations for the 2026 legislative period. During this session, senators are expected to examine important legislative texts, discuss national issues, and contribute to the formulation of policies aimed at strengthening governance and development in Cameroon. The opening of this ordinary session also reflects the continuity of parliamentary works within the country's bicameral system, where the Senate plays a crucial role in reviewing laws adopted by the National Assembly and ensuring the representation of regional interests. Over the coming days, the Senate is expected to organize committee meetings that will shape legislative priorities for the year. Senators will also use the opportunity to address matters affecting the national development and institutional stability.
Meanwhile, Cameroon has signed a €150 million agreement with the Israelite company Ecobel to develop 10,000 hectares of rice farming in the country's northern regions, in a move aimed at boosting local rice production. More details in the following report.
Cameroon has signed a major agricultural agreement with the Israelite company Ecobel to develop 10,000 hectares of rain-fed rice farming in the northern part of the country. The project aims to boost local rice production and strengthens Cameroon's agricultural sector. The agreement, valued at €150 million, approximately 98.4 billion CFA francs, was announced in March 2026. The farming activities will be carried out in Sijam and Pola in the North region, as well as Mbei in the Adamawa region. According to project projections, the program will run for 3 years and is expected to produce about 46,700 tons of paddy rice, which is equivalent to 31,289 tons of maize rice. This output could represent around 18% of Cameroon's current production of high-quality maize rice. The initiative is expected to involve about 8,000 farmers, while also creating additional indirect jobs in the agricultural production, transportation, and rice processing. The project is based on technical studies conducted by the Food and Agricultural Organization and funded by the African Development Bank. Authorities say the initiative supports Cameroon's broader goal of increasing domestic rice production and reducing dependence on imports.
About 20 port authorities from West and Central Africa have convened in Yaoundé for a 3-day technical meeting aimed at strengthening port competitiveness and exploring green financing strategies to support sustainable maritime operations in the region. Over to Buka Sharon for the details.
About 20 port authorities from West and Central Africa have gathered in Yaoundé for a 3-day technical meeting to discuss strategies for improving port competitiveness and promoting sustainable maritime operations. The meeting of the Ports Management Association of West and Central Africa opened on March 9 at the Yaoundé Conference Center under the chairmanship of Cameroon's Minister of Transport, Jean-Ernest Marcena Galebi-Behe. Port executives and experts are examining administrative, legal and financial strategies to modernize port management and improve efficiency in a sector that handles about 95% of the region's external trade. Discussions also focus on mobilizing green finance, including climate bonds and public-private partnerships to support environmentally sustainable port operations. Participants say strengthening governance, accelerating digitalization, and adopting greener technologies are essential to enhance the role of ports as strategic trade hubs, particularly within the framework of the African Continental Free Trade Area.
In another news, GIFCAM plans to acquire 6 ships to move cargo by sea between Kribi and Douala. The project, announced on March 6 in Douala by its president Jean-Pierre Dongoyi, aims to reduce road traffic and increase public transport. Let's hear from Claudine Liwe for the details.
In a move to improve on the transportation of cargo by sea, Cameroon's shipping company GovCam plans to acquire 6 ships to transport cargo by sea between Kribi and Douala, reducing pressure on the busy road network. The announcement was made on March 6, 2026 in Douala by GovCam's president Jean-Pierre Nyondok. The company aims to move about 50% of their shipment between the two cities by sea instead of road transport, which currently carries more than 60% of the cargo. To restart the service, GovCam has already bought in a cargo ship, Atlantic Runner 2, which arrived at the Creepy Deep Seaport on February 27, 2026 and is expected to begin operation this week. The project will allow large international ships to upload cargo in Kribi, while smaller vessels move the goods to Douala. The company says the move will make transportation safer, faster, and more environmental friendly, while helping Kribi grow as a key logistic hub in the region.
Up next, Cameroon has been invited as a star guest to the 5th Commonwealth Trade and Investment Summit scheduled on April 20th to 21st in London in recognition of the country's growing role in Commonwealth economic cooperation and investment promotion. Buka Sharon on this development.
2026. The invitation was extended to Prime Minister Joseph Diongute recently during an audience in Yaoundé with Jonathan Pitt and Malan. The summit is organized by the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council. The event will gather heads of governments, ministers, and business leaders from across the Commonwealth of Nations for discussions and networking aimed at boosting trade and investment among member states. Held under the theme Commonwealth Solutions to Global Challenges, the 2026 summit will focus on key sectors such as artificial intelligence, sustainable energy transition, infrastructure investment, health technologies, and creative industries. Cameroon's participation as a featured guest is expected to showcase the country's investment opportunities while strengthening economic cooperation with Commonwealth partners.
In health, Cameroon has recorded new mpox cases at the start of March 2026, bringing the total number of infections to 138 since the outbreak began in November 2025. With the littoral region remaining the epicenter as health authorities intensify surveillance to contain the virus. FG Cynthia takes us through the details.
Health authorities in Cameroon have confirmed continued transmission of monkeypox as the country enters March 2026 with 138 cumulative cases reported since the outbreak began on November 14, 2025. The central region, particularly the Jongolo Health District, is among the areas affected by the recent notification. In response to this situation, the different sections of the IMS continued their field activities. These include monitoring surveillance activities in the region, coaching local teams on contact tracing, analyzing suspected samples, and preparing training on comprehensive case management, especially in the littoral region. The activities conducted by the offices and sections involved in the response were reviewed. Actions focused, among other things, on mobilizing technical and financial partners, ensuring the safety of personnel engaged in the response, disseminating information on the disease evolution, and preparing briefings for the media. On the logistics side, priorities include the shipment of supplies to certain regions and assessing the availability of equipment necessary for case management. The discussions also highlighted certain challenges, notably the shortage of reagents for case confirmation at the National Public Health Laboratory. Furthermore, participants emphasized the need to improve coordination between laboratory structures, particularly regarding the classification of virus and standardization of result production procedures. The Ministry of Health is now calling for increased vigilance from the population.
Cameroonian economist Vera Songwe has been appointed to the Pontifical Academy of Social Sciences by Pope Leo XIV, marking a significant recognition of Cameroon's presence in global policy and academic circle. H. Susan shares more details.
Pope Leo XIV has appointed Cameroonian economist Dr. Vera Songwe as a member of the Pontifical Academy of Social Sciences at Vatican City. This announcement was made on Monday 9, 2026. The Pontifical Academy of Social Sciences, established in 1994 by Pope John Paul II, brings together experts in economics, law, sociology, and political science to conduct research and advise the Catholic Church on social and economic matters, providing insights that help shape Catholic social teaching. Dr. Vera Songwe is a globally recognized economist who currently serves as co-chair of the independent high-level expert group on climate finance. She has also held senior positions at the United Nations, including as Under-Secretary General and Executive Secretary of the UN Economic Commission for Africa, and has worked with the World Bank. Her appointment is being hailed as a milestone for Cameroon and Africa, highlighting the continent's growing influence in global policy and Vatican academic circles. Members of the Academy remain independent but work closely with the Pontifical Council for Justice and Peace, contributing to discussion on contemporary social, economic, and political issues. It is worth noting that with this appointment, Dr. Songwe joins a select group of international scholars advising the Vatican, bringing her expertise in finance, development, and climate policy to global dialogue on social sciences.
Moving on to sports, Cameroon's home-based national team ended its training camp in Yaoundé on March 10th after playing 2 friendly matches to assess 30 local players under coach David Pagou. The team drew 0-0 with AS Fortuna before defeating Canon Sportif de Yaoundé 1-0. Claudine Linwe gives us more insights.
Cameroon's home-based national team has ended its training camp in Yaoundé with mixed results after playing 2 friendly matches. The camp, led by head coach David Pagou, brought together 30 local players from March 6 to March 10, 2026 to test their skills and team spirit. In the first match, the local Indomitable Lions faced AS Fortuna, but the game ended in a goalless 0-0 draw after both sides failed to score. However, the team bounced back in the second friendly against Canon Sportif de Yaoundé at the Ngouaikele Military Stadium. A single goal from Conrad gave Cameroon a 1-0 victory. The matches helped the technical staff assess players' performance as they prepare the home-based team for future competitions.
John Dramani Mahama, President of Ghana, has begun an official visit to South Korea, holding talks with the President Lee Jae-myung to strengthen cooperation in technology, security, and agriculture. H.U. Suzanne with the details.
President John Dramani Mahama has begun an official engagement in the Republic of Korea, where he held bilateral talks with South Korean leader Lee Jae-myung aimed at strengthening cooperation between the two countries. The high-level meeting focused on expanding collaboration in key sectors, including technology, security, and agriculture. At the end of the discussion, both leaders witnessed the signing of 3 memoranda of understanding covering maritime security, climate change cooperation, and digital technology. President Mahama equally said the relationship between Ghana and South Korea continues to grow stronger, built on shared democratic values, respect for human rights, and a commitment to improving the welfare of citizens in both countries. He noted that the two nations also worked closely within international institutions such as the United Nations, where they often support similar positions positions on major global issues. The Ghanaian leader highlighted opportunities to deepen cooperation in agriculture and agribusiness through initiatives supported by Korea International Cooperation Agency, particularly programs aimed at boosting rice production and strengthening food security in Ghana. President Mahama further pointed to the economic opportunities presented by the African Continental Free Trade Area, whose secretariat is based in Accra, describing Ghana as a strategic hub for production and export to the wider African markets. He expressed optimism that Ghana's natural and human resources, combined with Korea's technological innovation, will help drive sustainable growth and shared prosperity between the two countries.
Dear viewers of Rock TV, and that concludes the end of the English news on Rock TV. For our French-speaking viewers, the French edition begins now with Bialu Anaïk. Stay tuned.